In this video, we're learning about the best ways you can save money so at the end of the month, you can have that extra money going straight into your bank account. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a 2022 survey of American households from the U.S. Department of Bureau and Labor Statistics. And we are going to look at what the biggest costs were for the average American. So the number one biggest cost for most Americans is going to be housing, with 33% of the average paycheck going directly to housing and housing costs. The second biggest is transportation, with 17% of the average paycheck going to car or transportation services. And then the third biggest is going to be food, with 13% of the average paycheck going towards food, both eating out and groceries combined. And then the fourth biggest singular cost is going to be 8% of the average paycheck went to healthcare and healthcare costs. So let's go ahead and look at that. And if we add just those four things up, we get that 71% of the average paycheck goes to housing, transportation, healthcare, and food. And so again, pretty much just four things that are basic needs that everybody needs to live. 71% of the average paycheck goes directly to those four costs. So that really begs the question, this is what the video is about. What are the best ways to save? Like, how can you save that money each month? And the primary way, and number one way, is going to be one, just make more money. And if you can make more money and keep all your payments at what they were before, you will be saving a lot of money each month. So if you're to look at that, and let's say you just got a big raise and you're making a lot more money than you were the previous year, but your housing costs are the same, your transportation costs the same, food costs, and all those are the same. Well, instead it's going to look like this, where you can see all those costs have got cut down to a much smaller portion of your paycheck. And now, instead of roughly 71% of your paycheck going to all these things, now it's between 40-50%. So you've saved about 20%. But that's only if you keep all those costs the same. If you get a higher paying job and then you get a new house or a newer apartment or you buy a brand new car, these percentages will not be much affected, and now you're still in the same percentage range. But seeing as getting a raise and a new job is not easy to do and it will take some time, here are some ways that we can actually save. And so let's say you are still going off your same income level, you haven't got a new job. Let's kind of look at some ways that you can attack this and try to save some more. So healthcare costs, that's not really a way that you can cut down because that's somewhat out of your control. So let's not focus on that at first. Food costs, you're going to have to eat. So let's not focus too much on food for now, but we want to focus on this, the 33% of your average paycheck to housing and 17% of your paycheck to car transportation. So first, let's focus on that main one, the biggest cost, cutting down on your housing costs. And so there's two primary ways that you can really do this, of course, besides getting a new job, making more money. But if you want to cut down on your housing costs just by cutting down, here's two big tips. The first one is, especially if you're younger, live at home longer and keep those housing payments low. And kind of the old stigma was that, you got to be out of the house by 18. But since people are living a lot longer now, that doesn't quite hold up as well as it used to, because again, you're going to be living to your 70s, 80s, 90s, instead of people back in the day used to live into the 50s and 60s was about the average. Living at home longer also allows you to build up more of a savings and a safety net for when you're older, so you'll have more of a pile of cash to pull from if you really need to. But everybody has different situations, so for some people this may not be an option, or they just want to get out no matter what and be on their own, which is fine. So that's going to bring me to my second tip then, if you want to save money on housing, is get a roommate or roommates, and then you can decrease your housing payments by half or more. So think about if you have a $2,000 a month rent, but then you get a roommate, and now that automatically goes down to $1,000 a month that you have to cover instead of $2,000. And having roommates also allows you to not just split the rent or mortgage payments, but also other housing costs like electricity, gas, and water, just the stuff you need for basic functioning in society today. So those are the two main tips to cut down on housing costs. And let's just recap them real quick. First one is you can live at home longer. If you don't want to do that, get a roommate or roommates. And then the goal would be to get those housing costs down to 15% or maybe even less than 5% in some cases of your paycheck, rather than 33%, which is what the average American pays. Let's look now to cutting down on those transportation costs. And this has to do with having a car, and having a car consists of more than just your monthly car payment. That's the thing that most people think of, but you also have car insurance, and then of course gas and fueling costs. So transportation will add up. And so this one is just one tip. It's going to be buy a car that is in your price range. Having a very expensive car can take a huge toll on your monthly expenses, and many people end up spending a lot more than 17% of their paycheck on a car. And another thing that I'll say is I would wait until you're older and have more savings built up and make more money before you buy a very nice car. Don't jump the gun on that. But again, that's just my tip. So now let's look at two more good ways that you can save. And of course, we know the first two: cut down on your housing costs, buy a car that you can afford. A third thing that you can do is spend on entertainment and luxury within your means, very similar to buying a car that you can afford. And then also you can try to cut down on how much you eat out. So let's look at these two new things right here. And so again, spend on entertainment and luxury within your means. That just means don't buy a bunch of things you don't need consistently. Again, you're going to live your life and you're going to want to buy stuff, but just don't consistently be doing this. And then also be careful of having too many subscription services and then just monthly payments that you kind of forget about. Those really do add up over time. And finally, trying to cut down on how much you eat out. So eating out consistently is more expensive than eating at home, but this one you can only make so much of a dent in because you do have to eat. And if you really do a good job of it, you can save a few $100s each month by eating more meals at home, but it really is not going to save you that much. So these are just my tips. Of course, how you live your life is up to you, but if you do choose some combo of those four, it will help you save some money each month. And again, like let's say that you want to buy a nice car, you like to spend some extra money on luxury and entertainment, and you like to eat out, but you have roommates. There you go. That's one big cut that you made. Or let's say you don't have roommates, you live on your own, but you buy a car that you can afford and you try to really cut down on how much you ate out. Or another scenario, let's say that you just got roommates and you try to cut down on how much you eat out. Again, some combo of those four will really help you save some money each month. That is all I have for you in this video. Have a nice rest of your day.